I'm sorry, I can't hear you, but I can read your lips. Please slow down so I can keep up, Nathan wrote in his notebook. He was undeniably cute, and I couldn't help but find myself staring at him often. While our communication had its challenges, it was enough to get by. Plus, he had the most beautiful smile I had ever seen. We began to chat, relying on lip reading, and when that failed, we turned to our trusty notebook. Being with Nathan, who was deaf, turned out to be an enjoyable experience. Time seemed to fly by, and before we knew it, it was time to return to our school. To be honest, I didn't want to leave. We had such a great time together, and I secretly cherished the moments I spent with Nathan. As I was leaving, I waved goodbye to him, and to my surprise, he hugged me from behind. I was taken aback by the gesture, and he softly said, "Please promise me you'll come back soon." I turned to face him and replied, "Don't worry, I'll be back." With that, I left. On the way home, I couldn't get Nathan out of my mind. So, I decided to Google the sign language he used, and I found it quite fascinating. I ended up staying up all night learning the alphabet and basic greetings in sign language. Strangely, it brought me immense happiness. Our school visits to the special needs school only occurred once a week, so the rest of my week was dedicated to learning sign language. I became so engrossed in it that I hardly spoke to Stella or Leo during that time. I eagerly anticipated our next visit. When I returned to the special needs school, Nathan seemed genuinely excited to see me, and I couldn't help but feel butterflies in my stomach when I saw him. During my visit, I received a text from Leo asking if I had completed his homework. His rudeness annoyed me. Why didn't he just ask Stella for help with his silly assignments? I decided to ignore his message. Then, in a quiet moment, Nathan asked me, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And, strangely, I found myself saying that Leo meant nothing to me. When Nathan smiled, my heart would race. Over time, I began seeing Nathan twice a week, and I even enrolled in a sign language class on Saturdays to impress him and deepen our connection. As the months passed, I became proficient in sign language. While Stella and Leo gradually distanced themselves from me, I didn't mind. My focus was entirely on Nathan. One day, during a late stay at school when everyone else had gone home, Nathan showed me how to sign kiss. Instead of simply copying the sign, I leaned in and kissed him. After that, things became awkward between us. Nathan grew unusually quiet, and I couldn't help but wonder if I had done something wrong. I desperately wanted to make things right because I couldn't bear the thought of losing Nathan. Then, on a Saturday the following month, Nathan asked if we could meet before my sign language class. We met in the park, and I had intended to confess how much I cared about him. I had even learned how to sign, "I love you." However, before I could express my feelings, he wrote in his notebook, "I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to hurt you." With that, he got up and left, leaving me sitting there in tears. I was utterly baffled. Had we moved too fast? It felt like all the effort I had put into learning sign language had been in vain. I had no idea where to go or what to do next. Reluctant to return home, as I knew my mother would bombard me with questions, I decided to visit Stella's house instead. When she answered the door, her face turned pale upon seeing me. Hi, what do you want?" she asked. It was then that I noticed the shirt she was wearing. It belonged to Leo. Without saying a word, I brushed past her and entered her room. I knew exactly what I would find when I entered Stella's room, and my suspicions were confirmed when I saw it lying on her bed. Even though I had never really cared for Leo, a surge of anger coursed through me. Had he and Stella been secretly seeing each other all this time? Stella came running in, taunting me. "What do you care? We all know you're with that deaf guy." Out of sheer frustration and anger, I impulsively reached into my pocket, grabbed my keys, and dashed off to confront Leo. I didn't intend to hurt him physically, just to make a point. However, in my haste, I tripped, and the key ended up piercing his eye. The horrifying scream that escaped his lips was deafening, and blood began to trickle down his cheek. Stella panicked and immediately called for an ambulance. I felt as though I had ruined everything. Nathan refused to see me after that incident, and Leo and Stella continued their relationship. I had harmed Leo, and the consequences of my actions weighed heavily on me. For all I knew, he could have been left blind. All of this chaos had stemmed from my misguided pursuit of popularity. Feeling lost and overwhelmed, I sought a quiet place to sit and think, and that's when I spotted someone familiar, Nathan. It was bewildering. I had seen him just an hour ago, and now he was in the hospital. I couldn't hold back my tears as I rushed over to him, desperate to understand what had happened. How was this possible? Nathan communicated with me through sign language, revealing the devastating truth. He was seriously ill and didn't have much time left. He confided in me, saying, "Skylar, I'm dying." I had previously believed that the day everyone discovered I had paid Leo to date me was the worst day of my life, but this day eclipsed it. Nathan succumbed to a rare genetic disease, while Leo underwent surgery during his hospital stay. However, that wasn't the only revelation. I had discovered that I was pregnant with Nathan's child. Now, my life felt even more uncertain. The father of my baby was gone. Leo wanted to press charges against me, and I faced the very real possibility of going to jail. My heart ached at the thought of my child growing up without a father in such a harsh environment. What if I told Leo that the baby was his? Unfortunately, the baby had a high chance of being born deaf, so I feared I wouldn't be able to claim Leo as the father.